Hi, I'm Liv and welcome back to the Book Nook. So, this is the last time I will be filming with this much hair. That's a tidbit for you. What? Oh, I can't wait. I mean, what is... It was behaving right up until I pressed record. So yes, I am getting a haircut tomorrow. I'm going to tame this beast upon my head. Depending on how much I wuss out, there will be a varying degree of hair. No. How much I get cut off depends on how much I wuss out when I get there and I'm sat in the chair. So, we shall see. But I'm going to crack on with today's video. So, basically, I'm going to do a supermassive book haul because I'm a ridiculous human being. Hands up if you already knew that! So I'm going to do supermassive book haul because I've got quite a few books and I'm going to race through them as quickly as I can without stumbling too much. So, let's do a little shifty. No, let's... Ow! Oh, oh. So, the first book that I bought since my last haul was the very next day. And it's a book that really, really intrigued me. It came in, it's a biography by Paul Sahre. I think that's how you pronounce it, Paul Sahre, Two-Dimensional Man. It's a memoir, a graphic memoir about Paul Sahre. Sahre, S-A-H-R-E, Sahre. He's a graphic designer, and it just really, really intrigued me, the layout of the book, and I am intrigued by graphic design, and in another life, if I had any skill, maybe I would have gone into graphic design, who knows. So I picked up that one to sate some of my graphic design designs. Itchy nose. Then I picked up a book that probably doesn't need much of an introduction at all. Essentially, I was on the fence about it until I watched Simon's video over at Savage Reads about an event that he did with this author, and that's How Not to Be a Boy by Webb. I was intrigued by it, but wasn't necessarily particularly kind of keen to get hold of it, but then watching that video and hearing so much more about it, and so many customers coming in asking for it, that I thought, oh, sod it, why not? Let's get a copy. What a glowing recommendation that is. If the camera moves, it's because he's sat straddling the tripod leg, and looks like he might rub himself up against it in a non-ooh way. But in a this is my tripod kind of way. What are you doing, bubs? He's curling up and using my slippers as a pillow. Foot fetish! The next one I've got is a book that I was kindly sent by Pushkin Press, and that's My Cat Yugoslavia by Patjim Statovci. It was never going to go well, was it? It's about a 16-year-old Muslim girl who's married off to a man she doesn't know, then her country's torn apart and she flees, and then it focuses on her son years later, who's a social outcast in Finland, and he's a gay man in an unaccepting society, and then one day he meets a talking cat who moves in with him and his snake. So it looks like a slightly fantastical, slightly weirdy book. I love pretty much everything that Pushkin Press release, and this one looks really, really tempting to me, so thank you very much to Pushkin Press for a copy of this one. Thank you, please. Then I got a copy of Exit West by Mohsin Hamid. Now this is on the Man Booker shortlist now. I got it after the shortlist was announced to complete my collection bar 4321, which I'm not bothering with. And it's a book that sort of crosses borders and continents, and I think it's got some sort of world flitting betweenness in it. It's sort of set in cities swollen by refugees and is meant to be quite hard-hitting. And I was really tempted by this one a little while ago. Again, Simon over at Savage Reads, I feel like I'm like his kind of stalker. Now, I'm not. I'm sorry, I'm not. But his video really sort of tempted me towards this one. So I picked up a copy as it was announced on the shortlist. Then, as I enjoyed Tom Gauld's Baking with Kafka so much, and I discovered there was a previous collection of his comics, I picked up a copy, and that's You're All Just Jealous of My Jetpack by Tom Gauld. So from the occasional flicks through that I've had of this, it looks as though where Baking with Kafka was more focused on sort of literary literary linked cartoons, this one is potentially more his ones for like The New Scientist and with a slightly more scientific and social slant, but I could just be wild guess. Well, it is a wild guess. Well, it would help if I just read the back. These are from The Guardian, not The New Scientist. Then I was kindly sent by William Heinemann a copy of the huge Gnomon by Nick Harkaway. I have never read any Nick Harkaway before, I must confess, but I was really intrigued by this one. I don't know masses about this one, but it's set in a sort of slightly futuristic world where a reclusive novelist is found dead, I believe, and then it's all the sort of investigation into that. So it's a bit of a sort of potentially a literary thriller from what I know. Again, I could be completely off with this. I've just given the blurb a brief read, but yeah, it's a sort of futuristic, literary, thrillery detective novel, I believe. I'm so profesh. Then Hodder and Staunton were lovely and sent me a copy of A Taste of Blue Light by Lydia Ruffles, which I've seen a lot of people on Instagram talking about, and it's a YA novel, but is meant to be, I think, a slightly more grown-up YA novel, and not that YA is innately childish, you know what I mean. And it's about a girl who's trying to recover her memories of a summer that she doesn't remember, and there's a lot of mystery going on, and I've heard really good things about this one, so I'm not going to leave this one too long. Taste of Blue Light by Lydia Ruffles. What a wonderful name, Ruffles. Next up is a copy of a book that I wasn't necessarily going to buy. I knew that it was coming out and I knew that it was going to be a big release and I wasn't particularly bothered, but then I'd seen lots of excerpts from it and lots of talk around it and just wanted to kind of be able to talk about the book with a little bit more authority, and that is Hilary Rodham Clinton's What Happened. Doesn't need much introduction, really. It's Hillary Clinton's book about what happened with the presidential election and everything around it, and it's meant to be pretty scathing and pretty open and brutal, and I was just really intrigued. Then I got another Little Island Press book. You may remember a while ago I got Gordon Lish's White Plains, Pieces and Witherlings, and I've had a flick through that and read a few from that so far, off and on, and it's really, really good. So I was intrigued by Little Island Press, and I saw they had another volume coming out, Darker with the Lights On, Stories by David Hayden. So it's a collection of short stories, again, slightly weird, inventive, lyrical. Really, really excited by this one, and it will look rather nice next to White Plains. Then I picked up a copy of a book that I knew we would come in. Next up is a book that had come in to our shops a little while ago, but had gone straight back out to Budleigh Salterton Literature Festival, because at least one, if not two, of these authors, I believe, were at the festival. But it's now on general release, and that is 8 Ghosts, an English heritage collection of new ghost stories. And you've got ghost stories in there by Mark Haddon, Jeanette Winterson, Sarah Perry, Andrew Michael Hurley, Stuart Evers, Camilla Shamsey, Kate Clancy and Max Porter. I was intrigued by this one because I've read bits by some of these authors, or I've heard of some of them. I think there's only one author on there I'd never heard of before, and I was just really intrigued by this collection, so I'm going to give it a go. I'm not somebody who normally reads a lot of sort of ghost stories, but the idea of this one, it's lovely. Just call me Miss Incoherent today, why not? Hey, don't rip the chair. Hey, it's 7 o'clock in the evening and I'm recording this before I order a pizza. I'm hungry. Next up, a collection of poetry that I'm reserving judgment on until I've read it, obviously, full judgment, because otherwise I'm an awful human being. But it's a collection of poetry by Atticus, who's another one of these sort of Instagram poets, you know, famous online, builds a platform online, and then published by traditional means, and it's Love Her Wild, a collection of poetry. Now, it's a gorgeously presented one, gorgeously put together. Just flicking through it, it's a mix of sort of illustrations, pictures, and short poems, along the lines of Rupi Kaur. Now, obviously, Rupi Kaur's poetry has kind of been at the spearhead of a movement of online Insta poets and things like that, and this came out a little while ago now, and I've been looking at it and just intrigued by it, so I thought, oh, you know what, let's just give it a go. If I don't like it, I don't like it, but yeah, there's that one. 2 more hardbacks. One is a little one that has been out for a little while now, and basically I've been doing the reread of his Dark Materials, so I've just finished rereading The Subtle Knife, the second in his Dark Materials, in preparation for the release of the Book of Dust. Now, I've said before on this channel that I read them a long, long time ago. I'm 99% sure that I never actually finished The Amber Spyglass, and reading them this time around, I'm getting so much more from them. And when I finished The Subtle Knife, I wanted to immediately start The Amber Spyglass, but I didn't, because otherwise I won't remember it in 3 weeks' time when we have the reading group. But until then, to tide me over, I got a copy of Once Upon a Time in the North, which I had forgotten existed, because I knew all about Lyra's Oxford, but I can't read that one until I've read Spyglass, because it's set post his Dark Materials, but this one follows Lee Scoresby and how he rescued Eirik Byrnison, and yeah, I love Lee Scoresby and I love Eirik, and this is just gorgeous, and I'm flicking through and the little illustrations, and I'm going to go and read this one now. Okay, bye, thank you, bye. And the last hardback that I've got this month so far is a book that I do already own. Shocker, me buying a book I already own. But this is an intentional buying a book that I already own, because the copy I own is a proof copy, and I love this book so much, and I saw a couple of weeks ago that there was going to be a Waterstones exclusive special edition of this book, and I've been, every day that the deliveries come in, the guys who unpack it, I'm like, is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? So on Thursday, one of my booksellers sort of sidled up to me and was like, it's here. And I freaked out. Made a funny little noise. It was roughly along the lines of, sorry, cat. The book I'm talking about is Lincoln in the Bardo, and it's this gorgeous Waterstones exclusive special edition. Actually, the fact that I'm filming this quite late and you've got this light means you will actually slightly be able to see, perhaps, oh, maybe not. Oh, we might be able to see it better on the back. There is sort of silver foiling in these gorgeous blue leaves. The original hardback cover is a predominantly white one with green leaves on it, but for the special edition they've gone dark and blue, and it's utterly gorgeous, and it's got the hole. The other really exciting thing about this, apart from the fact that it's got a little ribbon, is that it has a deleted scene. Now, I'm always slightly wary with deleted scenes because it's like, well, it would have been deleted for a reason, but with someone like George Saunders, I'm so excited and so fascinated by this. So I read the introduction to the deleted scene last night, and essentially the deleted scene that's included in here is a conversation between two guys, and it was one of the first sort of things that he wrote while the novel was taking shape. But by the time the novel grew and became itself and blossomed, the original bit that he'd written? That original bit that he'd written didn't quite fit in anymore, but it was his jumping off point and a starter. So I'm so fascinated to read that and sort of see the humble beginnings from which this novel came. So yeah, you guys know how much I love this book. Well, actually you probably don't know quite how much I love this book because I read it before I started filming BookTube, and although I've mentioned that it's on my book of the year list and that I've loved it, I've not actually done a full talk about how much I love it. I don't think. Have I? Maybe. Oh, I'm awful. Essentially, I love this book, and I was thinking when I picked this one up that it may be the first book that I reread for a long, long time. Now, I know I've just said about Northern Lights, but I'm rereading that when I first read it, when I was like 10, something like that. So it may be, I may reread this again before the year is out, and it'll certainly be the first time I've read a book twice in the same year since, I don't know when. The last time I did that was probably Harry Potter when I was a kid. But I'm not sure. I may reread it before, if I've got time, before the Man Booker shortlist is announced, to sort of round off my shortlist reading. I know I'm completely ignoring 4321, but I'm completely ignoring 4321. So yes, I may reread this one because I did absolutely love it, and this edition is gorgeous, and I feel like it needs to be read and loved, so we'll see. We'll see. Now for the paperbacks that I bought this month, the first two are charity shop finds, so second-hand ones, and the first one is The Tenderness of Wolves by Steph Penny. Now we have got in store her latest one, which I've completely forgotten the title of, but I know it's blue, and it's got like winteriness on the front, and it's chunky. Once Upon a... No, that's... Can't for the life of me remember what her new one's called, but I saw this one and I was intrigued because I love me some wolves. I love books set in the north. I love that coldness, that crackling. Ooh, I love it. And this one won the 2006 Costa Book of the Year, so I was just really intrigued by this one, so I thought I will give it a go. Then the other second-hand purchase is one that was I was going against my own instinct. I was thinking, why am I doing this? But I was like, it's £2, let's do it. And that is Donna Tartt's The Little Friend. Now, I've got the Goldfinch, and obviously I had The Secret History, and you guys know that I read that and wasn't overly enamoured with it. And I was talking to Amy over at Shout Amy the other day, and she was saying if you didn't like The Secret History, you're probably not going to like the Goldfinch. And I'm extrapolating from that I probably won't like this, but I want to give Donna Tartt's books another chance because I have heard such good things about the Goldfinch and about The Little Friend, and I think maybe The Secret History just wasn't for me. There could be an element of right book, wrong time, although I don't think so. I think it's possibly maybe not quite the perfect book, but definitely at the wrong time kind of thing. So I want to give it another chance, and I was intrigued by this one. Didn't have it, so for £2 I thought, okay. Plus, it's got this really cool cover, creepy cover, where again, it's got a little hole, and it's got... So yeah. So then I also bought a copy of the paperback release of English Animals by Laura Kay. Few booktubers that I follow have read this one and loved this one. Now, I know Lauren at Lauren and the Books did a read-along, and I can't remember who with. That's awful. I don't have a memory today. But I know that this one was really well received, and I was really, really intrigued by the hardback and kept on thinking, okay, maybe I'll get around to it, maybe I'll get around to it. And then the paperback came out, and I was like, well, there we go. So it's a book that concerns sort of taxidermy, rural England, and relationships, and there's someone who sort of gets in the middle of a relationship, and it's all a bit weird, but really, really intrigued by this one, and I'm feeling foxy this month, what can I say? Then I picked up a book that is on the Guardian's Not the Booker list. Now, that list kind of confuses me. I'm sure it was kind of conceived as a antithesis to the Booker Prize, but it's become its own weird thing now. And last year I read one of the ones from the list, the Not So Perfect Life of Donna Creosote, I think, and I was, sort of underwhelmed. Like, it was okay, I liked the concepts, but it was wasn't a huge fan of it, so I was a bit wary of the Not the Booker list, and I've seen some of the reviews of some of the books on the list and was a bit sort of worried, but the one that had mostly positive reviews was, fortunately enough, one that I had been eyeing up and waiting to be released anyway, and that is The Threat Level Remains Severe by Rowena MacDonald. Now, I have read Rowena MacDonald's short story that I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called, because remember, no memory today, that was published by Galley Beggar Press and won something. Where's my memory? So I was pleased to see that, pleased in a perverse kind of way when you consider what I've just been saying about the Not the Booker Prize, that it had been relatively well received and that it was on that list. It is essentially a book about a girl who works in the House of Commons, and there's sort of weirdness and intrigue going on, but it's a sort of modern tale, a really exciting new writer, so I'm quite intrigued by this one, and the cover is pretty damn cool. Speaking of pretty damn cool covers, I picked up a copy of Hings by Chris McQueer. This is published by 404 Ink Press, the guys responsible for Nasty Women and the wonderful magazine that they publish. So I had heard about this a little while ago, that they were publishing this. He's a Scottish writer, Chris McQueer, and they are short stories that are Limmy meets Irvin Welsh. Now, I used to quite like Limmy's comedy. Limmy himself has gone a bit, okay, calm down, mate. But anyway, I'm intrigued by the weirdiness, the brutality. You guys know that I went up to Edinburgh, maybe. Again, can't remember what I haven't said. But I went up to Edinburgh, loved Edinburgh. I love Scotland. I love whiskey, mainly. But I love Scotland. Sorry, that was really reductive of Scotland. I know that you are more than whiskey and tartan. I know. I'd seen a lot about this one on Twitter and was sufficiently intrigued as to purchase myself a copy. And yeah, the cover is pretty amazing. Then I picked up a copy of a Margaret Atwood book that I haven't read. Now, I've not actually read as much Margaret Atwood as I should have read. I've read, of course, The Handmaid's Tale, and another one that I can't remember, and The Tent. The Tent is my favourite Margaret Atwood book, and it's not a novel, it's a collection of essays and short stories and bits, and I just love it for its weirdness. Stone Mattress, that's the other one that I've definitely read, and I'm sure there's another novel that I've read, but basically one that I haven't read is Alias Grace. Now, of course, it's being turned into a series on Netflix, which I want to watch, but I do think I want to read the book first, because I want to see how it deals with it, much as Handmaid's Tale did, how it relates to the source text. Now, I did get the movie cover edition, and I don't normally, but my reasoning for this is that with books that have been turned into TV shows, if I've not read the book before, I'm okay buying a movie cover. That doesn't necessarily make sense, but basically I don't care about bashing this book around because it's a movie cover. TV cover. I have a hell of a lot less respect for TV cover versions of books, is what I'm saying. And I don't know why that is. Well, I do know why that is, because TV cover versions usually suck. Recent exception to that has been the vintage edition of Handmaid's Tale, the TV tie-in edition. I actually really liked that cover and thought it was a really interesting take on it. This is a sort of, it's a TV cover, isn't it? I'm not going to pretend like I'm a huge Margaret Atwood, fangirl, academic, amazing kind of, yes, I know all of her work and I'm rereading it for the millionth time and thus it must be a proper non-TV edition. I want to read it because I want it for the TV show. That explanation was a load of horse poop, but I hope you got something from it. So yeah, movie, TV version of Alias Grace. I bought that. It's here. It's going over there. Then I got myself a copy of a book that I never would have heard of if it weren't for the fact that the wonderful, wonderful Sarah Perry has tweeted that her new book will be coming next year. It's called Melmoth, and she was talking a little bit on Twitter and more at Budleigh Salterton Literature Festival, which one of my colleagues was at when I couldn't go, and I was really sad, but my friend did bring me back a signed copy of the Essex Seven, and I'm very, very happy about it, and yay! But the book that she has written is based on, or is like a retelling of, or uses as a source material and a jumping off point, a book that I've never heard of before, and that's Melmoth the Wanderer by Charles Maturin. Now, I wanted to read this before I read Melmoth, so I'm going to do that. Sorry, that was really loud. I'm sorry. It's a gothic tale, it's a dark tale by all accounts, and it's just one that I'd never heard of, and I quite like the idea of a new classic being, talked about and put to the fore, so I'm going to read this before I read Melmoth, which means I don't have very long to read it because I will be reading Melmoth as soon as it exists, hopefully. As soon as I can humanly get my hands on it, is what I'm saying. And the last paperback that I am including in this haul is one that I am actually currently reading, and that is Elmet by Fiona Mosley. So that actually completes my Man Booker shortlist collection of books. So yeah, that's the Supermassive Book Haul. Hey, so I'm just adding this bit on to the haul before I go away on holiday. So I'd forgotten I even had a Supermassive Book Haul ready to go until the other day. I was like, I'll bugger, so I'm going to add these on. So, other ones that I have got since my last haul, I picked up a copy of The Invisible Child and the Fir Tree by Tove Jansson. Now this is a very special book. Basically Waterstones and Oxfam have teamed up to raise money for Oxfam, and it's the Invisible Child campaign. So at least £4 from each book. It's £4.99. It's this gorgeous little hardback. I feel like I'm advertising. I don't mean to, but it is gorgeous. At least £4 from each book goes to Oxfam projects supporting women and girls worldwide. So it's a really gorgeous little edition here. It's this little hardback with a gorgeous, gorgeous cover. Have a little look here. You've got all the little Moomins on the front. And you've got, 2 Moomin stories in here. And I'll show you as well. You've got a gorgeous little bookmark that comes with it, with some of the old Moomin covers. Moomin Papa, Moomin and Winter. And a lovely little wintry escape on here. So it's a gorgeous little book, and supports a wonderful project, as I say. So that's one that I picked up. I had no choice, really. It was just too beautiful and too wonderful. Then another one I picked up is The Correspondence by J.D. Daniels. Now, again, this is one that I can't remember where I heard about it, but it's a book of letters. Basically, he's worked various jobs: janitor, night watchman, exterminator, and he's written letters considering sort of how books and learning sort of affect us. So it looks really, really good, and I cannot for the life of me remember where I heard about this one. I think I probably just read a review online somewhere, but this one looks fantastic. Gorgeous cover as well. Then I picked up a copy of a book that I've been really excited about ever since I heard it was coming. Excited is the wrong word. Anticipating ever since I heard it was coming. And that is Sigrid Rousing's memoir, Mayhem. Now this is about her brother and her brother's wife, who were either both or one of them were found dead after an overdose. The wife. So it was her brother's wife was found dead after an overdose, and it's just sort of exploring addiction in the family, and it proves to be really fascinating. And Sigrid Rousing, of course, is a very interesting person herself, so I think this one's going to be really, really interesting. Then 2 that I picked up, which you will have seen by now in my Goldsmith shortlist video, so I'm not going to talk too much about these, but essentially I picked up Happy by Nicola Barker and Will Self's Phone. So if you want to find out a bit more about these, head over to my Goldsmith Prize 2017 video, which is a video I did after I'd been up to the shortlist announcement, and there's a little chat there with Head of Judges Naomi Wood, where she tells us a bit more about each of the books, and then I do my thoughts on the books, because I foolishly thought you might want to hear them. Then a proof that I have been sent is one that I'm very excited about, and that is Manhattan Beach by Jennifer Egan. Now, I've never actually read Visit from the Goon Squad, any Jennifer Egan before, but I have only heard good things about her books, and I've been meaning to get around to it, and this one looks very, very exciting. So I think it's a historical fiction. She doesn't normally write historical fiction, set in Brooklyn in the Great Depression, and it's a sort of family drama with some sort of haunting aspects from what I can tell. So this one looks really, really good. Sorry, I still can't get used to where the screen is and the lens is on this camera. I feel like on the old camera, if I was looking at the screen, it was a little bit less obvious because it was next to it, but because it's above it now, I feel like it's quite obvious. So like I'm staring at myself right now, and now I'm going to stare at you. So yeah, those are the few other books that I have got. Who knows if I will have some more by the time the video is ready to go. As I say, I'd forgotten I even had it. But if not, if there aren't any more books to add to it, this has been a combined Supermassive Book Haul from the end of September and the first part of October. I will do a separate one for any books that I buy while I'm in Portugal. That will go in with the sort of Portugal vlog thing, whatever I do get around to doing. So yeah, just wanted to add these on. I can't remember whether I said it in the bit before when I filmed the video, so just in case I didn't, have a little chat with me in the comments down below as per usual. If there's any of these that you've read, if you liked them, tell me about it. If you didn't, keep them, that's the deal. And if there's any here that you're intrigued by from the very little that I've raced through, then yeah, do let me know. So thanks very much for watching, guys, and I'll see you when I'm back. You don't even know I'm going. I'll be back by the time this goes up. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, because I'm already back and I have no idea what I'm talking about. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Goodbye!